The other concept which has been there for a long time and now we need to kind of talk about it is what is called the Advanced Processing Facility, the APF. This facility is something which is very commonly practiced by most lenders, especially in locations where there are projects coming up with multiple units, whether it is number of flats in a particular building or there are buildings in a particular project or in a particular colony that is being constructed. For a lender, it is important to understand that the legal and technical clearances are in place before they fund a particular project. Legal, so that ownership of title of property, ownership of the person who's buying the house, all that is clear and the title is clear and therefore mortgageable. Technically, important that all the local approvals, all the municipality or Gram Panchayat approvals, all have been taken and the construction is taking place as approved by this particular authority. Then when anybody individually comes to you for a loan as a lender, you have to of course appraise the individual. So you might be earning 100 rupees, I am earning 200 rupees, somebody else is earning 500 rupees and therefore the loan amount will vary. But the legal and tactical piece is already done. What of course they have to do is to make sure the progress of work is happening when they are about to disburse. However, this advanced processing facility is extremely beneficial both to the lender and the buyer. The benefit to the lender is that he is saved a lot of work because all the work to do with legal and technical on the project is all collapsed into one effort, one exercise. And it is available because all the legal papers have been checked. All the local approvals have been checked. From a borrower's perspective, it makes a big comfort level to you. And that comfort is that you know the lender has checked the title, has checked the approvals, has checked the municipal consents, and therefore you have comfort that there is clear title in the property that you're buying, that the construction has been done as per local laws and approval of the local authorities. So this advanced processing facility, which specifically applies when there are projects with large number of flats or large number of units or large number of buildings, works very well both for a lender and for a borrower. If somebody is constructing an individual standalone house, then the need to do an APF by its very nature is not there. Because what he does will be only for that particular individual's unit that is being constructed. Nobody else is going to come to apply for a loan for the same property, for the same construction, for the same local approvals. Let's talk a little about subvention. Subvention is a phenomenon that has been present ever since lending happened, but has picked up more in the real estate sector in India in the last few years. By definition, subvention is when somebody else, typically the government or a third party, makes payment on your behalf. How does it work in housing finance? The way it works is, when a builder announces a project, he gets into a tie-up with a particular lender or a series of lenders. What he then does is announces the scheme to his potential buyers with a subvention scheme. What the subvention scheme does is that during the construction period or for a finite date or for a specific period of time, the developer will pay the pre-EMI, the interest that you take on your disbursed loan on the individual borrower's behalf to the lender. What is the benefit to the individual? He obviously gets a cash flow relief because he is not required to pay pre-EMIs, and that becomes very important because he is probably staying in a rented house and already paying a rent, waiting to take possession of his new ownership house. For the developer, the benefit is that it becomes a more saleable project. He actually says that instead of reducing the price, I am willing to subvent the interest that you pay during the construction period or for some finite period of time. Now, the downside of this is that if for any reason the developer does not pay, there is a tripartite agreement that you as an individual have tied up and signed with the developer and the lender. And whilst that agreement obviously obliges the individual developer to pay on your behalf, if you do not pay, then the lender can move against you for a default and more importantly report you to the credit bureaus essentially saying that you are delinquent on your payment. However, there has been a RERA judgment in 2020 where the bank was asked to deal directly with the developer because the agreement between the three of them said so. The jury is still out, and I do know that banks will report you as a delinquent customer, and it will show up in your credit report and lower your credit score. So you have to be careful about what subvention schemes you take and with which developer. More importantly, this aspect of a potential non-payment by the developer becomes important in these times when we know in the current post-pandemic era, a lot of developers are under cash flow stress and they will tend to not pay the interest that they're obliged to pay according to the agreement that has been signed with you. There is one other angle in subvention that you have to be careful of. I know of cases, and I'm sure so do you as a lender, where the developer actually has two selling prices, one with subvention and one without subvention. The catch is, therefore, if it is without subvention, the price might be, say, for example, 100 rupees, but if he is providing you subvention, then he will increase the price to 105 and therefore recover the subvention amount through a different route. The benefit to you still exists that it helps your cash flows because you are not paying that interest and also paying rent in your current accommodation. However, the traditional definition and applicability of subvention did not factor in this differential pricing. It was actually meant in a subdued market to encourage sales to happen, to encourage individuals to come and buy houses.